The scene is set within the Black Orchid, the Prince's Elysium within Uptown. The Prince has called the last straggling kindred towards his new program of rejuvenation of the city. He has called them into the stage room of the Black Orchid. The room itself has been cut off from the public with a simple red rope, and a piano sits on the stage, at which the Prince himself is sitting down and practicing his music. Some light jazz, keeping his fingers in tempo, occasionally diverting from the script, experimenting and getting lost within himself, waiting for the kindred to arrive. And the scene begins.
Well, if no one starts, then I would assume you've been contacted to meet here or been summoned, basically. So as James has been summoned to the prince, we will make sure he has a nice suit on, the one made by Jebediah, and just makes haste. Takes a suitcase with his laptop and electronic devices in case they're needed. And as soon as he's at the Black Orchid, I don't know if he got pointed to a room or that I need to address someone, but either way he will make his way inside of the Black Orchid.
I mean, basically, you all have appointments. You're all on the list. The security guards will, because you're all members of Camarilla in good standing, they won't search you. They will literally just wave you forward, where one of the attendants will basically take you up towards the room rather than the secret side entrances where the staff dwell.
James will follow the the man giving him directions as he's taken to a side room. And he will notice that there's indeed some piano play coming from the corner. Not his style of music, but to everyone his own. Probably due to his young age that he prefers something else. And as he is led into the room, and he will not try to be sneaky, as he cannot do that anyway. He will just approach, and as the prince notices him, he will take a deep bow. Good evening, my prince.
The prince will simply carry on with his music, allow you to make yourself comfortable and wait for the others to join him. He will not address you directly, just simply a glance to acknowledge that he's seen you have arrived and continue with his play.
James will take a seat.
After Schmidt has entered, Jebediah Stitches will enter wearing his mask, his favourite one of the little old man, and he walks in and he'll see the prince playing the piano and he'll see Mr. Schmidt. Hello, Mr. Schmidt. How are you this evening?
As you creep up on as James sees you, he stands up and extends his hand. Good evening, Mr. Stitches.
I've never been here before. This is Kine only, isn't it?
To be very honest, I do not know out of character.
You have been here before, Mr. Stitches. You presented yourself at my Elysium within the Black Orchid.
I think it's both.
Rewind. I know it's Kine only, kindred only, and so after I've come in and I walk in, then obviously he drops the mask and appears as himself. And goes, Mr. Schmidt, pleasure to see you.
Good evening, Mr. Stitches. How have the recent nights been treating you?
Up and down. I've got some harpy business that we shall talk about amongst ourselves later. But
I would like a moment of your time whenever this suits you, regarding your problem. So in a bit of a hushed tone.
Stitches will get close to you and goes, how does it go, Mr. Schmidt?
The problem is the picture, although it's not clear, it is online. The problem with the internet is once something has been uploaded, it stays on the internet. I'm trying my best to run damage control at this point.
Well, thank you very much for your assistance. I'm in debt to you. Let's see how it plays out.
Of course, we will discuss this at another time.
This is the moment at which Jack comes into the room, waving to the PA that he leaves at the door in lieu of a briefcase and other equipment. Looks around, nods to the prince, notices the other ones, and while the playing is going on, sits down and makes himself comfortable to listen to the music.
Stitches will motion to Mr. Schmidt. Who's that gentleman that's just come in? Mr. Schmidt, have you met him before?
As James takes a look at the man who just came in, gives him a glance over and I don't think I've met him before.
Well, let's not be rude.
No, indeed.
Go over to the relaxed, prone visage of Jack Erickson III Jr. and tower over him and lean down and say, "A pleasure to meet you, sir. My name is Jebediah Stitches of Clan Nosferatu of New Sarum." And he holds out his hand.
Jack opens his eyes and smiles. "Hello, Jack Erickson Jr. the Third. But my friends can just call me Jack Erickson Jr. You can probably figure out the clan by my dress and my attitude. A real pleasure to meet you." And he takes Jebediah's hand in a warm and trusting, honest handshake.
Stitches will reply, say, "Well, yes. Pleasure to meet you. How long have you been in the city?"
I've been here. OC, how long is it in real time?
Pretty much.
Okay. I've been here for about a month, but I've been distracted by matters too minor and trivial to trouble you with. I really should have got to know you better by now, and for that, I apologize.
Well, we all have our own little bits of business to deal with. It can be troublesome, although we always must have to make time for matters of our society. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
It's just a few loose ends here and there that are now well and truly tied up and will not be disturbing anyone again. So now I hope to have a lot more time for the important things in life.
Indeed. And we have a lot of life to enjoy it. Well, we've all been called here, so it seems like there must be something important going on. Have you met my friend, Mr. Schmidt here?
Another hole in my diary.
As James will step forward and extend his hand. Good evening. James Schmidt, and he extends his hand to you.
Another honest and warm handshake. Actually warm. The hand is at human temperature.
I'm afraid I haven't met you before, Mr. I stood basically behind Stitch, so I picked up the name. Mr. Erickson, Junior the Third, if I was correct.
The Third Junior, but we're amongst friends.
Apologies.
And what's your interest, your speciality, your job, your excuse, your cover?
I'm somewhat of a computer and technology enthusiast.
Ooh. Are you the movie-like experts that hacks into the Pentagon for fun? And how many times have you nearly started World War III?
Mr. Erickson, that is just the movies. Something like that isn't that easily obtained. And James will try to lie to you at this point. Is it just difficulty 6 or?
It'll be difficulty 6 and then opposed.
So 3 successes.
Okay. What do I oppose with?
If you want to catch a lie, it can either be perception empathy or perception subterfuge.
I think perception subterfuge makes more sense. And now I figure out how to roll those dice for the first time. It's Dice Stream, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did they appear on my screen there?
Yep, we can see them.
Okay, so pretty poor.
Yeah, that's one success from where I'm standing.
Oh, still, James, it'll come across quite convincing, but still, you can choose not to believe it. It's as simple as that. Gives you no reason to give reason to a suspicion that he can indeed do these things you just described. The movie.
I will believe that you have not caused World War III almost at any time.
At that moment, the prince stops his playing and swivels ever so slowly towards the assembled cast, casting a critical eye on the three as they mingle and chat, obviously listening to every word with his heightened senses. Gentlemen, I'm glad you all could make it. It is nice to see that you are all acquainted now. He says he takes his cane from the side of the piano and lifts himself up to sort of tower over you slightly on the stage.
It's a great pleasure to see you again, so elevated.
It has been a while, Mr. Erickson. I look forward to your report on your current endeavours. You have been far too away from the public eye, and I hope that time is at an end.
As I said, the loose ends have been tied up very thoroughly and will not flap in the wind again.
Well, that is excellent news, Mr. Erickson. As you can see, these gentlemen are, as you have probably just already known as Mr. Stitches of Clan Nosferatu, the Nosferatu Harpy, and Mr. Schmidt of Clan Tremere, the Tremere Harpy. They are very capable gentlemen and have my complete trust in all things. Now, I suspect you are wondering why I've called you here this evening. As some of you may be aware... Apologies, do you wish to speak?
No, I was just saying that's why you called us here. My guess would be it would be for something interesting.
Interesting, yes. As many of you are aware, if you caught my announcement within Elysium, I am attempting a grand rejuvenation project of New Sera. It is high time that the kindred of the rightful sect of the city took its place and regained control over so much that has been left to decay in the wayside by ineffective politics and infighting. Therefore, I have devised a solution I am gathering coteries of mixed clan to go out and garner influence for the use of the court. Each of these coteries will be given a different area within the city in which to focus on. This will, in my sincerest hope, inspire trust and show all those outside the one and rightful sect how strong we are when we work together. For too long in New Serum, we have been separated by clan lines. Blood has, well, been soured between many of us, and it is my intention to mend these bridges. Therefore, gentlemen, I ask each of you, in this great spirit of cooperation and renewal, to go out and garner influence within the industry of this city. The industrial works themselves have been an untapped oasis. The court needs to be able to react quickly to problems as they appear. Union workers, foremen, engineers, contractors, construction workers, manual laborers, construction crew, factories, construction crews need to be able to be controlled by the courts so we can react to problems swiftly and efficiently that affect us. Now, I suspect that you are wondering, well, all good and dandy, but where's the catch? And this is the catch, gentlemen. You are, in fact, the fourth coterie that I have formed so far. Each one has had a different area within the city, and I have devised a way for a grand competition. The coterie that can come towards and give the court a substantial amount of influence it so desires will not only gain the praise of the Camarilla and the Harpies, a great boost to your own personal status, but also a boon from the Prince. Of course, it's needless to say that those that come last, well, shows their incapability for handling such simple tasks. So I call on you, my trusted friends, my good friends, friends that have stuck with me through my ascension, and now I call upon each of you to help me rebuild this city to something that we all can be proud of. And John will use his charisma and his leadership, which is 7 dice. He will use his status because he is imminent as a +2 dice. He gains -1 difficulty because of his imminence, and further -2 difficulty because of his enchanting voice. I also have a specialty in charisma. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes. If you wish to resist, you may do.
Just to get a quick idea for this on this roll, what does this exactly do to me?
I'm using my clout and my status to basically get you to do what I want. I am using my charisma and leadership. I'm inspiring you to my cause to be able to rebuild the city and help the court any way you can. I'm putting fire in your bellies for the good of the Camarilla.
Well, considering I'm Tremere, I won't resist that roll then.
You can't break the system. I'm going with it.
Let's do it.
Excellent.
Knew this meeting would be interesting.
I am very much looking forward to your progress, gentlemen. I have confidence in this particular team. None of you have ever shown me wrong or shown any form of incapability when tasked with a challenge. I am quietly confident that you will probably be the safe bet within this. He says, smiling warmly at you. Are there any questions you wish to ask?
Well, when shall we three meet again, pretty much? But we'll sort that out ourselves.
Thank you, gentlemen. And please feel free to enjoy yourself while in the Black Orchid. Stanshead's brews are readily available. And for my trusted friends, on the house for this evening.
Thank you, Matthew.
Ah, Mr. Stitches, before you disappear, I would wonder if you will be free later this evening once my appointments are done. Would you care to meet me at St. Mary's Hospital in, say, a couple of hours?
Yes, my prince. I will meet you when you wish me to attend to you. That would be fine.
You're very kind. The prince hobbles back down to the seat and moves back to the piano as a dismissal.
Before James leaves, he of course takes another deep bow. Oh, good evening, my prince. And as he walks away out of the area, he makes sure to catch either Stitches or oh man, your name, seriously. Erickson the third junior to see if they can find any time where they can convene again and have a small meeting amongst themselves.
As they walk up, Jack motions to the PA that has stayed at the doorway and said, "Okay, make a note. Open the diary. Clear the diary." Right. When? And where? Why don't you come to the casino? There's a lot of noise there and some very quiet places behind the noise.
I haven't partaken in the casino as yet. That would be a very interesting place to meet.
Very well.
And then Stitches will palm his business card in your hand and say, "There you go, sir. If you ever need the services of a tailor, come to me."
What makes you exceptional?
Well, if you just look at Mr. Schmidt, I made his rather nice suit. And our character, would the prince be wearing the blue Vicuña suit? Or is he saving that?
That's for special occasions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You wouldn't. No, I just mean with you lot. He's got Elysium. Can't we see him wearing the same thing twice? How gauche.
Well, you see, I'm kindred only, and only for quality kindred. And just between you and me, I don't come cheap.
Ah, I see the point. You're a luxury good.
Indeed. For the manor born back home, and now for our brothers and sisters of the night in the new world.
Back home? Where's home for you?
London. Jack Erickson III Jr. So how do I call you if we're to be more informal? Just Jack Erickson III again?
Call me whatever you want, as long as it's friendly. Oh, London. It was so I was there in 1916. It's a rather dismal place.
Well, that was a little before my time, but glad to know there's a lot of us here. And a lot of you venture types do seem to come from that part of the world.
No, I'm just a poor country boy from the sticks of Canada with just a plain rural log cabin next to a huge mine and large estate. You know us, humble folk.
Well, you seem to be a a very noble, salt of the earth type, if you don't mind me saying. Not many miners' children living in cabins have names that incorporate titles.
Well, I may have been slightly misleading on the actual size of the cabin. But yes, it was made of wood, and there was a mine next to it, and who are we to quibble about details when anyone else who could contradict me is dead for over 100 years?
Well, I'm sure there'd be a record knocking around. Was the mine under the name of Ericsson, perchance?
I'll tell you a secret. It was under the name Dubois, but I very much believe you will never find that name in any records that have survived anywhere. In fact, I'll give you a goal or two if you can find any trace of that. And I'll have some serious words with some people to show my displeasure if you can find any trace of that.
Well, goal's always handy, but I wouldn't want to put anyone in trouble. But it's an interesting proposition, sir. When I have time, I might delve into it.
Do it. Give it your best shot. Because, to be honest, I'm really confident that it's untraceable, impenetrable, not the faintest glimmer. But if you manage to ferret it out, that would be very valuable for me to find that it is not as perfect as I thought.
Oh well, it's always good to cover up on tracks. Well, sir, it has been a grand pleasure meeting you. I shall now make my way so the prince can carry on with his business, and he will shake your hand. See you soon, fellow coterie member.
See you soon. You know where to find me.
Indeed, the casino. So, goodbye, gentlemen.
I'm
Good
pretty
evening,
sure that you could find me anywhere.
Stitches,
Mr. Go ahead.
Stitches will then look at the two gentlemen, nod cordially, and bow slightly and leave the premise.
And
Oh, what a nice, honest guy. He really
James-
wears his hearts on his sleeves that he has sumptuously redecorated.
And as you can see that you mentioned your mind, James will just been laughing a bit, smiling. I will take that bet as well. Mr. Erickson, yes, that's
Dubois mining, and there are some Dubois in mines that I have found, not those ones. You'll know the ones if you find it.
perfect. Well, let's not keep this room crowded much longer then. As James extends his hand, good evening, and he will just call you Mr. Erickson from now on.
Good evening, James.
And James makes his way outside.
And so does Jack.
Laird walks into the room after the others have cleared out. He probably narrowly missed them. And he walks forward towards the prince. The prince is still playing piano, like leisurely.
Yep, playing some light jazz on the piano.
He doesn't interrupt him. He just bows deeply with respect and smiles at him and nods afterwards, and then sits down promptly close by the piano to enjoy listening to him play.
And after a short while, arrive at the Black Orchid as well, and being guided to the room where the princess entered the room, And hearing the room, he will silently enter and make a formal bow towards the prince, and he will
William, you can approach the prince. You can. Gilhern?
Hi.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been calling you William because I thought you told me to call you William.
Yeah, sorry, I had some problems with the internet, I guess.
No, that's okay. You can present yourself to the prince and just take a seat.
I will do as you both did. I'll just get close to the piano and bow respectfully, and then I'll sit down and wait.
Okay. Laird will turn to you, and are you wearing like a nice suit, or like what are you dressed like?
Yeah, he always dresses very neatly and very nice with suits. Yeah.
Okay. He'll just nod to you. I don't believe he met you, but I think he was at Elysium when you presented yourself, if I recall correctly. So he would know who you are, and he leans in and whispers to you, "We should talk soon, cousin."
I hope so.
Okay. And then he smiles at Alistair, because of course he's had nice meetings with Alistair in the past. And then he looks on to the prince, waiting to see what his announcement is.
The prince will finish up with a flourish. Once again, swivel round. Ah, welcome, gentlemen. Mr. Vestas, always good to see you. Mr. Brehorn, always a pleasure. And Mr. Rock, it is good to see you again. He gets up slowly from the chair, balancing himself on his cane, standing above you on the stage. Now, gentlemen, I hope you are all acquainted, or at least you will be in the nights to come. I expect you're all wondering why I've brought you here.
It's not my place to wonder. It's my place to listen. He bows his head.
Well, for those of you that have attended my Elysiums, you will be very much aware that I am very keen to rebuild the city to a more golden era, to allow the court to regain the control that has been allowed to decay in recent years. Finally, we are at the apex of a new and wonderful age. But unfortunately, one man cannot do this alone. Just like the Camarilla is not made up of one clan. We are 7 clans, all united by united purpose. And that is the spirit I wish to embody in this rejuvenation project of New Sarum. So, whether you have heard of it or not, I am gathering coteries of mixed clan to procure for the court influence in various different areas of the city. I am hoping that this collection will embolden inter-clan cooperation. For too long now, our varying clans within the Camarilla have been, well, bad blood has been garnered for the simple reason of territory or whatnot, when we should all be really coming together as one great big family. We're an organization and we are stronger together than apart. Why I've called you three here, gentlemen, is because I have the most important task, and only those that I can trust. Mr. Brehon, you are shown yourself to be a very apt and innovative man. Mr. Rock, you come highly recommended from your primogenship, and of course we may always count on the recommendations of our elders. Plus, it gives you a good chance to flex your own muscles within the city and a task that benefits the city. And Mr. Festus, we have spoken before on our shared interest in this particular avenue of the city. Therefore, gentlemen, I would like you three to gather for the court influence within the political structure of this city.
Blair just smiles and nods. Of course.
I can only trust this monumentous task, and one of such utmost importance, to the two most reliable clans within this city. The venture in the Tremere Alliance is, well, it's as solid as iron. And I believe that this coterie will make the city proud. But I suspect you are wondering if there's a catch, and there is a little catch, because I wish for incentive for our kindred. Too many of us are self-interested to be able to do what's best for the city. Therefore, you are the fifth and last coterie so far that has been gathered. Some have been gathered a couple of days prior, some this very evening. The first coterie to be able to garner enough influence to impress the court and gift it to said court will not only receive wondrous praise from the Harpies and an increased status of personal status, something of great import within our sect, but also a boon from the prince. And I don't need to tell you, gentlemen, that there is plenty that I can give out. There is much domain within the city yet to be claimed. But of course, that coterie that comes last, or even second to last, well, shows their ineptitude at very simple tasks, and it will be the duty of the Harpies to ridicule them. But I do not think that will be this coterie. No, 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 no. You three represent the best in which the Camarilla has to offer. You are the granite and the stone pillar, and you are being given an area of expertise in which I know each of you are uniquely suited. Therefore I ask you, gentlemen, as your prince, but also as your comrade in this great project, help me build a city that we can be proud of, that can defend all odds, that we can stand united with each other, hand in hand, clan by clan, kindred by kindred, coteries and friends, to build something that will last. And with that, he will roll his, as you probably witnessed in the previous, his charisma and his leadership, plus all his status and enchanting voice bonuses. Oh dear. Not as great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes. You may resist if you wish.
Will we be rolling leadership and charisma?
Well, it's
back?
up to you. I've been thinking about this. You can either do like perception, empathy to sort of like see through. It's like, well, you know, or you could go manipulation, leadership yourself, and say, well, that's very good, Prince, but have you thought of this? And try and circumvent what I'm doing.
I'm
Really
gonna
justify it.
I'm gonna try manipulation leadership. Why not?
Mhm.
I have well reasoned, so tens will count twice. Let's see. But no, he just sort of he goes to speak to you, and he has some good ideas, and then he catches himself. He catches himself at the end because he's really listening to what you're saying at the same time. Brehon's got that thing where he talks before he finishes thinking sometimes, and He then quiets himself down before going to say anything. Instead, he smiles and he bows deeper than before. And he then says to you, "We will not fail you, my prince."
Of course you won't, my friends. Do any of you have any questions before you set out?
I do have one. The Giovanni, whom you graciously allowed to stay within the city, the former mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems that he would have great political influence for us to procure. At this time, maybe it's time he earned his keep.
If you believe that is the way for your coterie, I do not see a problem with giving you a sealed letter from my office. But I'm sure Mr. Brehorn is very much aware, and you too, Mr. Vestus, that the Giovanni, well, if they know that we're moving in on their territory, then they will redouble their efforts. So use him with caution, unless you can silence him, but this is more your challenge than mine. You're more than welcome to press the ex-mayor for what his contacts are, Mr. Brehorn, but be wary. The Giovanni are not the Camarilla. They are not our friends. They are not our allies. They are just leeches that are taking advantage of chaos in which they sow.
He nods to you grimly, as if he not only agrees, but you could, if you rolled perception, empathy, you could see.
Yeah, why not?
That he absolutely has disdain for the Giovanni.
I don't have a special. Oh no, I do have a specialty actually. But you're not lying, so no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So 2 successes. Yeah.
So it's just simple. It's written all over his face that he doesn't trust them, basically. And he then says, "If you could have that letter mailed to my gem, we will approach him when the time is opportune. Timing is everything, as they say." And then he just nods again, like in deference.
Mr. Rock, do you have a question at all?
No.
Good. Straight to the point. Mr. Vestus.
No, I think I have all the information for this task. When do we begin?
Well, there's no time limit on this. It is simply the first coterie that comes to me with the acquired influence. And unfortunately, gentlemen, you're the last ones who have been able to be gathered, so they have a little bit of a head start on you.
At least they think they do.
Good hunting, gentlemen. And with that, the prince will rise and go out the back curtain of the stage, leaving you alone in the theatre room.
Laird turns to Vestus, and he says, "Mr. Vestus, it's so good to see you again."
Ah, yes, it's very pleasant to meet you again. How did your business venture fare?
It's in motion. Things are going very well. My new trust, in 3 weeks' time, will have exceeded $500,000. I've already bought one of the businesses on the strip, and I am positioning myself to buy yet another. And he nods to you before turning to Mr. Rock. Have you met Mr. Rock?
We met briefly at the entrance of the Elysium at Club Deep, but proper introductions were not here. They did not happen. And Alistair will turn to Mr. Rock. Good evening, I am Alistair Vestus of Clan Tremere, and Alistair extends his hand.
I extend my hand too and shake his.
Laird then says to you both, "Gentlemen, if we're going to approach this, I say we should think very hard about the real prize. City Hall.
City Hall.
The Giovanni have maintained an influence there, and at one point, one of their own was mayor when he was a ghoul. But now he is made vampire, and his influence is not as strong as it once was, though I'm sure he knows many there. But City Hall is not some toy to be played with by an independent clan in a Camarilla city. I think we need to look into a acceptable candidate to lobby behind for the position of mayor.
Mr. Laird, I'm very sorry, but I wasn't here to hear the explanation. Why does the prince let Giovanni stay if he thinks they are leeches? I don't know.
It's a complicated story. Could I call you Christopher? I know that's your first name. But we're cousins after all. And you can just call me Laird. Drop the mister.
Okay.
And then he smiles at both again. And Alistair, of course, is probably a little uncomfortable at that because Laird tried to get first name basis going on last time they spoke. But then he says, several princes ago, a Malkavian who ran the city for over 90 years, Abraham Wolf, a very powerful prince, decided to observe the Treaty of 1528 between the Treaty of Venice, as they say, between the Giovanni and the Camarilla in a most gracious manner after Boston essentially became overrun with the Giovanni. He had his own dealings and he let them take a foothold here, but in his absence, as others have tried to fill the power vacuum and failed, the Giovanni have slowly taken up a great power hold within the kind structures and bureaucracies of the city. I think that if we were to work within the realm of politics, we need to be thinking about the crown jewel, so to speak. I'm not sure if that's the first place we should strike. He looks to Alistair. Alistair, you're primarily gifted in financial realms.
Indeed.
Well, what if you were to look into finding people who fund political campaigns?
That would certainly be doable. If I contact the right people, of course, and talk around the city, it would not be impossible to find the benefactors.
I'm thinking we need somebody young, approachable, relatable, someone who has politics that maybe would appeal to the city in these times of financial duress and recession. And if we can spin things right, if we can find the right movers and shakers to fund this campaign, we can slowly put a mayor in place. But maybe we don't stop with the mayor. Maybe we look for other positions within the local community and we try to get various candidates elected to positions of power under our control. So even if one doesn't work, we hedge our bets a bit.
Indeed. Well, on a side note, I have someone I can talk to in the building department if you ever need anything related to that.
That sounds wonderful. He smiles at you. I have a little influence at the New Serum DOJ, the Department of Justice. Maybe we could find a lawyer, a litigator, to be our face. Have him take an interest in politics.
And then he will skyrocket in the polls, being the man the city needs.
Exactly. Exactly. As long as we can keep buying up ad time, as long as his face is everywhere.
I have a
Chris. Yes.
If we do that, it won't be, I don't know, maybe too in the face. I don't know how to say this. It will be too explicit for them to. They will know we are running against them.
Well, I hope they know. They currently don't have a mayor under their control. They'll have to find another candidate. And if we pick the one that appeals to the working class, to the people, and then we also make the right moves and politically strong-arm those within local government and in fundraising. We play both sides a little bit against each other in order to position ourselves correctly. I have an idea as to a few kindred we can turn to who might be able to help at the right opportune times. This might be a bit of a long game. It might take a little while. Or maybe within a few weeks we could have a candidacy up and going and see whom among the local government we can turn to our aid and sort of influence along the way. But my hope would be that if City Hall was captured, we'll say, on the board, that even if we didn't win this competition, the Prince would be greatly appreciative of our efforts. We're again hedging our bets, so to speak.
When is the next election for mayor?
Well, it's the fall, so November. November 1st would be when new mayors take office.
I know a girl that it has some influence in the police and in the court or the law. That was the first person I knew here in the city. I don't know a lot of persons, but she may be a choice. She is not very experienced in politics, I guess. She is very willing to have more power in the city, I guess.
I'd love it if you'd call her and possibly see who she knows in smaller offices of station. We want different administrators. There's the Massachusetts Corrections Department with the prison system. There's the waste management, sanitation. There's education. There's people who hold the hospital board review. There's no reason why we can't slowly lobby people to endorse our candidate. So when the time comes, the public is behind him. Those who currently hold different offices, different political offices, are also behind him or her. Maybe it's a woman. Maybe it's the first woman mayor of the city. We'll find someone within the Department of Justice with a sterling record. Someone who's won a lot of cases, who's defended this city to be our face, to be our mayor. But there's no reason why you couldn't pick the brains of this person you know, this woman you know, Christopher. She might know other people for us to get behind. He smiles. Out of character, sorry to interrupt you. Out of character to Matt, just real question. Is there a phone in this room that we can use? Or I guess we could use our...
A phone? I mean, it's a stage room. There's no phone, but you can. But you've been here long enough. You can just like ask one of the guards or one of the like, sort of on-call staff. I mean, it's a Venture Elysium. You know where all the phones are and stuff that we use generally.
Okay. What I do is I ask around and I get somebody to grab me a phone, and I want to use my law influence plus my my influence with law to call the U.S. The DOJ office, and I'm going to use my manipulation to call and ask to see if I can get records on who's doing the best, who's got the best win record to get behind. And since it's a specialization, do I cancel out the 10 if I get a 1, like automatically? Does that happen first, or does anybody know? I'll say.
Sorry, I'm just typing. What do you need to know?
I said if you get a 1, do you automatically cross out the highest number?
It's just a success you get rid of. It's not like it doesn't have to be a 10.
Okay, because the 10 would have counted twice here. Okay, so basically I get 3 successes. We'll say that there is a very suitable candidate. There's one very suitable candidate. We'll say it's a woman, which makes Laird happy because if it's a young woman, that's something new. And she has a sterling record, though she's not that experienced. She's just been winning a lot since she's gotten there, so she's fairly young. She's in her early 30s. We'll say her name is Patricia Knowles. There, I came up with a name. So he then looks to the others. I will pursue this avenue after explaining to you what he's found. And if you guys want to roll any background kind of thing, if you want to use a phone or whatever.
I don't think Alistair would have any known contacts in Serum, so he probably would just nod at what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Then Laird would say to Alistair, could we meet the two of us to establish a trust to raise money for her campaign?
Yes, of course. That would be a very logical way to progress in the fund and fundraising way.
Then he looks to Christopher. Do you wish to contact this young lady?
Yes, I do. She's my retainer, but I don't know.
That's fine.
How do I do that? Or
you could just call her then and tell her that you're going to meet her personally on your own. You could do a solo video where you meet with her and then you role play out, asking her for ways to help. Or you could do one where maybe like you meet up with Laird or Alistair or a combination of us both. Or if you guys want to do another video right now, we could reconvene somewhere that Alistair feels good about, because I know he'll probably want to go back to the fake gentry.
Oh, fake? What are you saying?
We're OCC, man. I can call it what it is. But it's up to you guys. If you want to call it a night, if you don't have time, it's cool.
Okay, since we've gone on to OCC chat, we will end the scene there.
Yes.
Good night, New Serum.